Yeah. Check the mic. 1, 2, 2. Used to chase cloud, now I chasing a piece of heart, not life of an any. Singing up. This ain't no facade, this need no relief. Yeah. Feeling alright. Gonna be alright. Oh, no stress, no stress. Just vibe, just vibe. Life's a mess, a beautiful mess under blue sky. Yeah.
What's up, audience? This is your boy GQ The Truth with the podcast Misconceptions of Masculinity, a podcast dedicated to the upbuilding of men. Today's episode is episode 6. In order to lead, you must know how to follow. And basically what that means, it means that in order to lead a household, you must follow God first. You allow God to lead you, and he won't lead you astray. He won't lead you down the wrong path because he's God. So at the end of the day, it's like as men, we have come to the behavior of feeling like we have to take everything on our shoulders. And nothing could be further from the truth. We have to allow God to do things and handle things sometimes. It's just like God will give us the strength to go and do things that we need to do. But sometimes when we feel like overwhelmed, that's when we give it to God. We got to follow God. We got to show the love of God and just realize that, God got us. He got us. He loves us. He wants us to be our best selves. So in order to do that, we have to keep him in our heart and we have to follow him. And we have to lead our women the way they deserve to be led, and we have to conduct ourselves as men the way God intended us to conduct ourselves. And what that means is it doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect or we'll ever be perfect. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to make mistakes. What that means is when we see ourselves falling and making mistakes, we turn to God for strength. We allow God to allow us to grow. And the way we do that is through prayer and understanding and reading and, basically becoming one with the word of God. Because really when, think about this, even in relationships, as men, we're still leaders. We're leaders. How can we ever get to a marriage and lead a woman if we can't lead her before we even get to the marriage? See, dating is a trial run to marriage. It's good to get to know people before you marry them because you can't be out here marrying anybody. Sadly, we're not in those days where we could just up and marry a woman that we don't even know anymore because there are scars that people have. And most of us are not virgins. I feel like most of us are not virgins out here. So when you marry somebody, you take on their past with them. So it's good to know that past prior to marrying them so you can make the choice and say, hey, she's for me, she's not for me. Or allow God to open your mind and notice. Because God will give you signs if a person is for you and if they're not for you. I have to say there have been times when I wanted to make a choice and God stepped in and showed me the mirror. He showed me who I was becoming while I was with that woman. And then I realized that, hey, this ain't it. She's a great woman, but she's not great for me. This is not a man bashing women. This is a man really giving women their props because they're having to do things that they should not have to do a lot of times. I mean, not saying women aren't capable. They're capable. They're strong. I mean, wow. This class of women, man, they got to be stronger than any other class of women. They have to deal with things, that we'll never understand as men. So big ups to women. I love you. You're beautiful. You're amazing. You're created by God. But the thing is that we're running into as men and women is that people are so afraid to submit. We're afraid to be to be submissive. We're afraid to be submissive to God as men. Women are afraid to be submissive to us. So that's the flaw in the way things are now. We as men have stopped being submissive to God. So because of that, our women don't want to be submissive to us because we're not following God. We're not walking in the spirit. It's something about a man of God when he commands, when he has respect, when he walks into a room. And it's not that he feels entitled to it. It's just that, hey, his presence sometimes gets it. I mean, you ever been around somebody and then their spirit just calls out to you and you be like, man, it's not just men and women. It's just like with period, with the whole crowd. You walk into a room and a person just has a spirit and it's just like, you just pick up on it and be like, man, whatever it is, brother, you know, man, I see the power of God inside of you. I've had people tell me that multiple times, that you have a spirit of teaching. You have the power of God inside of you. You're going to do great things through God. And, you know, I was humbled by it because it was like, whenever I hear someone say something like that, it humbles me because I'm like, man, that's God speaking to me. It's nothing for me to feel, you know, prideful about, like, just, oh, I'm cocky, I'm this, I'm that. No, that's just a testament to the power of God and how he can speak to you in many different ways. And if you listen, God will lead you down the right path and he'll help you find your person. But you just got to be obedient. You got to keep him first. And then you got to bring your partner along. You got to study the word with the person that you want to spend your life with. You know, so in order to lead the household, we got to follow God. You know, the thing is, it's like so many times in the Bible, even with Adam, you know, he chose, like I said, he chose the woman over God. He didn't trust that God would provide him with what he needed. He trusted that, oh, she did it. I can't do it. I can't do it without her. But the truth is, you can't do it without God. As men, we're stronger with God than we are without him, man. Without him, we're nothing. He loves us regardless. But we have to have that love for him in order to be our best selves and to be our strongest selves and to be the husband that we were meant to be for our wife. Not a wife, our wife. There's a difference. So the thing is, it's a lot of us out here marrying people for the wrong reasons and not listening to God and God telling us, hey, we shouldn't be marrying this person because they're not good for us. Because God will give us those signs. He'll show us who a person is if we look. It's like Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. And that's the truth. So many times people will show us who they are. And then we sit there and we say, hey, maybe I'm just looking into things too much. Maybe I'm just trying to overanalyze. Maybe I'm wrong. We find every excuse to be with that toxic person for us. They're not toxic for everyone. They're toxic for us because we're not meant to be with them. We're just not compatible like that. We might make great friends, or she came into my life to teach me something about myself that I needed to learn. She's in my life for a season, not a lifetime. You have seasonal people and you have lifetime people, and everybody is not lifetime. And that's okay. It is so great to say, hey, you know what? She came into my life as a man. She came into my life, or women even. He came into my life to teach me this about myself so I can be ready for my husband and for women, or I can be ready for my wife as men, as us. You know, because I think about my dating up until meeting my wife, my person, and I realized that those women taught me a lot about myself. They helped me learn something that I needed to learn to be ready to be a leader for my wife. I was their leader for a season, and I taught them something about themselves. And we taught each other. I have nothing but respect for those women because if it wasn't for them, I would not be the man I am for my wife. So, hey, big up, love to those women, you know, and my significant other, you know, I know she should feel the same way. for the people that she dated because they taught her things about herself that, she did not know and she wouldn't have learned otherwise. And she wouldn't be the wife that she is for me if she wouldn't have went through those things that she went through. Because sometimes you got to learn how not to be in a relationship to learn how to be in a relationship, if that makes sense. You got to learn what the mistakes are and things like that and try not to make them, and you're going to make mistakes in relationships on any level, whether it's marriage or dating or anything. But the ultimate thing that we have to learn is that as men, we need to follow God. Women, you need to follow God as well. Don't just follow your husband blindly, because now I'm not saying women, you need to go with your man on everything he says if he's wrong. Men, I've said it many times. Marriage is a partnership. It's a covenant made between you, God, and the woman. There's plenty of times when I was finna make a mistake and my wife had a better idea and I went with her idea. I ultimately had the final decision. She didn't take away my power just because we went with her idea. I'm still the man in our relationship. I'm still the leader. That doesn't take away from my power because I lean on my spouse sometimes with her ideas. When she has better ideas, she's stronger in the area than I am. Hey, that just means we're stronger. Her strengths are my strengths and my strengths are her strengths. What's good for her is good for me. What's good for me is good for her. See, so many times we confuse fleshly desires with what's good for your marriage. Because if it's not good for your marriage, it's not good for you and it's not good for her. And at the end of the day, we have to realize that God put us together if we're married. He put us together. He allowed us to come together as one. And he allowed us to be able to play our roles in our marriage at certain times. Different times call for different things. Sometimes I give 70. Sometimes she gives 30. Sometimes she gives 70 and I give 30. Sometimes I give 60, she gives 40. Times I give 50, she gives 50. That's okay though. As long as we reaching our goal of 100, it does not matter. As long as it's not one-sided where we feel like, hey, you don't do anything. Because guess what? God will open your eyes to that too. Because think about this. The woman didn't just get like that overnight. She's been that way. And you allowed it. Women will only treat us the way we allow them to treat us, just like men will only treat women the way they allow us to treat them. We control how people treat us in this life. We allow people to treat us the way they treat us. Because we have a voice and we can stand up and we have the power of God inside of us and we can speak. We can speak life into things. We can show people things. It's never that bad where you need to be with somebody toxic, not to feel alone. Because I tell you what, I'd rather be alone than to be with a toxic person. Because I value my peace. The older I get, the more I value my peace. I'd rather be alone and have peace than to be with a woman and have stress and turmoil. Because we don't need that. We got enough of that in the world. When we come home, we should be able to come home to peace. And I don't know about you, but I come home to peace. And I love that. I love the peace. I live in the peace. The peace helps me get through the turmoil. Coming home to my woman when she done cooked a nice meal for me and just show me love like she happy that I'm home and just celebrating me being back in the house, man, that's everything for me. That's it. That woman gives me a peace that I have never had before. And the thing is, we listen to each other. We're not perfect. We have it out just like any couple. We go through issues just like any couple. But as we go along, we are learning and we're growing and, allowing God to lead me more and more. I wasn't always on this path. There was a time where I fell and I lost my way. And God had to speak to me and he had to bring me back into his covenant because I made mistakes. And I can sit here and I can admit that. And you're going to make mistakes in life, and everybody makes mistakes. But guess what? We have to have that grace, that love of God to forgive. Bible says you should forgive 70 times 7. The number is not what's important. It's just saying you should forgive a lot daily. Always forgive, because you don't forgive people for them. You forgive for you. So that hatred ain't in your spirit, and you can move on with the love of God. So, the main thing is, just saying, being a leader means a lot of things. And it's like sometimes you take so much on your shoulders, especially as a man of color in this society, and no diss to any other men or any other race. It's just saying, as a black man, I know what I deal with. So the thing is, as men as a whole, we all deal with a lot of things. And sometimes we expect it to be so strong, so strong. And I've said this on many episodes, not able to be vulnerable, feeling like we can't be vulnerable in our own household. But sometimes a man got to release things in order to be able to move forward, to be able to take on more weight. He got to release that weight that he got on his shoulders, deal with it, and move forward. If a man has to cry, he has to cry. If a man has to just yell and holler or just do whatever he has to do to release it, release it. You have to speak with somebody, do that. Because with manhood and leadership, mental health awareness, spiritual awareness, said this time and time again, and I stand on it. I'm an advocate for it. It is so important. It is so important in marriage or in relationships even, or even with you. Sometimes you have a season of brokenness where you just have to be alone. And God wants to build you up to make you where you're ready for what he has for you. Whether it's financial stability, or whether it's marriage, or whether it's a relationship, or whether it's anything, a job that might be stressful. God will give you all the tools you need to be ready for anything that you face in this world. He'll give you the tools. You just got to tap into it. You just got to tap into it and trust him. And he'll give you everything that you need. Just realize that God loves you more than anything. Anyone ever loved you. He loves you more than your mom, your dad, anybody. And that's a lot of love. It's unconditional love. Because the thing is, the only condition God has for you is that you strive for perfection. You choose him. But he's going to love you whether you choose him or not. And, if you fall, God is there. He's always there, even when you don't think he's there. There are so many young men out here who are misguided, who do things and because they get locked up or they go through prison, or whatever, they feel like, oh, God, now turn his back on me. God don't love me. I'm the scum of the earth. Nothing could be further from the truth. God has no respect to person. He loves you just as much as he loves me or anybody else. God, you're going to be judged for what you do in the end. Yeah. But none of us on this earth has the right to condemn you or judge you, because you know what? We all sinful creatures too. We make mistakes. We do things that's wrong. Yeah. There's sins that we look at worse than others. Yes. But we all got to be judged. That's the point. It ain't saying that we can't look at it as, oh, it's worse than what that. Someone that murders somebody, is worse than somebody that steals. Sin is sin, yes. But in the end of the day, God is going to judge you based on your sin. And the major thing is that we as people got to stop focusing on judging and condemning and start uplifting. Start motivating. I talked about a movie called The Forge, man. And I love that movie, man, because the man in the movie that took the young man in and mentored him, he was a husband. He was honest about his mistakes that he made because he wanted the young man not to make the same mistakes. He wanted him to know that, look, use my mistakes as a blueprint of what not to do, so you can be a better man than I was, you know? You can make better choices than I made. And the truth is, we got to start being more transparent with each other and start using our lives as testimonies to help somebody who may be going through the same thing that we went through, so they don't make the mistakes that we made. We got to become a village for each other, man. I don't know about you, but my village is the reason why I'm sitting here right today and not behind a cell. My village is the reason why I am the man that I am today. My village prayed for me. They mentored me. Having strong male role models in your life goes a long way. You know, my pops wasn't able to be around like that because he was he was a truck driver. So he was always on the road and things of that nature. So he couldn't, be around like that. So, things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I talk to him and we have a good relationship and things of that nature. And I'm grateful, that we are where we are and, we're able to talk to each other and talk about life and things of that nature. But, I just am big on a village, my uncles, you know, my uncles, my pastor, people like that, man. Shout out to Pastor Brian. No relation, just happen to be have the same name, but shout out to him and the lessons that he taught me. Shout out to my uncles who I love so much and all the people, man, that really just took time to mentor me and give me knowledge about things. You know, it's like when I was coming up, man, I wasn't always a hardworking man or anything of that nature. At one point, I was a spoiled brat, to be honest. And then it took my uncle giving me a swift kick in the butt saying, you work your mama to death. You need to grow up and stand up like a man because you're capable. You put limitations on yourself. And he was real with me. And a lot of us need that real tough love like that to wake us up, to show us that, hey, we as people have to understand that God does not deal with absolutes with us because he knows we're flawed and he knows that the only absolute in our life is him. That's the only absolute he deals with us is him, himself, what his presence, what he has in us. He demands better from us because he knows that we have it inside of us. And we got to demand better out of ourselves. We got to demand it, And that's the major thing right there. We have to realize that God loves us and he wants us to be our best selves. He wants us to trust and to know that he got us no matter what. And the major thing is that we as people have to understand that giving ourselves grace is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. Sometimes we have a tendency to be hard on ourselves, especially as men. We have a hard time realizing that it's okay for us not to have this figured out right now. I had an episode called You Do Not Have to Be the Finished Product Today. You do not. Realize you're a work in progress and you're always going to be a work in progress, and realize that you just got to strive for that perfection that God wants you to strive for. And you just have to work on being that leader that God wants you to be. Because that's the only way we're going to lead our household, through God, in prayer, and communication and understanding. Understanding who I am as a man, understanding who she is as a woman, her understanding who she is as a woman herself, and understand who I am as a man. And that comes with communication. That comes with strength of God. That comes with the love of God. If I can't even forgive my own person, myself, how can I forgive anybody else? And how can I show anybody else grace, if I can't give myself grace? And as men and women, we have become to the flawed behavior of being so hard on ourselves, you know? Women, oh, why am I alone? Why can't I find my husband? Well, the point is, your husband gonna find you. He gonna find you. Because if a man can't see the value in you, he don't deserve you. He don't deserve you at all. And you deserve better. Trust me, women. All men, at some point in their life, long to have a woman come into their life and add balance. Give them that completion that we're longing for. We all long for it, whether we know it or not. All of us, the thing is, I was talking to my homie, and he was telling me, he was like, man, I don't believe in marriage and all that. And, some point I was kind of feeding into that narrative through the struggles, sometimes calling and talking to him about my problems and things of that nature. But then it never dawned on me to realize that, dude, you're blessed. Everybody goes through things. Everybody has issues. You're not the only one with issues. Sometimes it's not the time to talk about your problems. That's why you keep your problems at home in a marriage. Keep your problems at home. Not that I'm telling my business or anything of that nature. I never do that. But, sometimes as men, we vent. Hey, bro, man, this going on, this and that to our homies, if we want to correct behaviors. And our homies will keep it real with us. What I really didn't realize was, as a man, he goes through his own struggles. He hadn't found his person yet. He's still out here in this world trying to navigate through the struggles of this world as a single man. And he's dealing with things that I don't know he's dealing with. So I come unload my stuff on him. And then I'm at my person. It's just overkill. Sometimes as people, we have to separate ourselves from people who really ain't contributing to our peace. And that's okay. It's okay as a leader sometimes to say, you know what? As a man, say, hey, sometimes I'm gonna remove myself from this person's, and not, totally write them off or her off or anybody like that. Just to protect my peace, to get my mind right to the point where I'm in a spiritual point where I can be there for them spiritually. Because sometimes we're not in a position to be those spiritual, to be those listeners and all that. Sometimes you just got to take time to pour into yourself and stop allowing people to make withdrawals, because you, as a man, you have to become that leader. You have that obligation to become that leader that you were meant to be for God. And the only way to do that is through God. Take your problems to God. Give them to God, If anything, you ask people to pray for you, because that's the best thing we can do. People can listen all day long. But if you want to talk to somebody, speak with someone. Talk to a professional whose profession it is to listen, who won't go back and tell your business. Not to say my homie would, she wouldn't, but still at the same time, you put your burden on other people when you could talk to someone whose job it is to take on your problems and to help you find solutions. There's nothing wrong with speaking with someone about your issues. I'm an advocate for it because I do it. Sometimes I get overwhelmed. Sometimes I deal with things that I can't navigate through on my own, and I need some help. So God put people here for different purposes and different ministries. That's a ministry in itself. And it's a blessing to have that ministry. It's a blessing to have that ministry and to be a part of a ministry like that, to advocate for, and basically for me as a man, I have learned as a man that leadership means a lot of different things. Knowing how to lead is just as important as leadership. Knowing why you're the leader is just as important, because you were meant to lead because you are the stronger of the two. Woman was made from your rib. So when you meet your person, that's your missing rib right there. You're complete. Until then, you're not complete. Because think about it. Ultimately, yeah, women have children and stuff like that, but the children come from men. We carry life inside of us, and then it has to go through women to grow, and she nurtures the child, and that's important, very important. We both have roles to play in creation. We carry life inside of us. We give it to women, and women, guess what? They have our children. They're the portal for our children to come into this world. They have to go through them. You know what that means to me? That means that they are the nurturers of society. They take on so much. Our women take on so much these days, man. And as men, we have to realize that too. They're going through it as well, especially Black women on top of things. And, women as a whole, like they go through so much in this world. A woman strong, she works, make her own money, has her own. She too strong. She don't need a man. She don't need a leader. Yes, she does. She needs a leader. She wants a man to come in and take reins and make it where she don't have to worry about everything. They want that leadership. You have the ability to add value to a woman's life that goes beyond money, material things, any of that. We add so much more to a woman's life than money and material things. We add our knowledge, our know-how, our strength. We add that. And she adds so much more to me than material things. She adds love, that support, that peace, all those things. Like, she is, I don't know about you, but when I walk in the room with my woman, man, and just seeing her there all did up, just looking good, and just knowing she doing it for me, that means a lot for me, man. That goes a long way to see my woman just did up for me. Just saying, hey, I'm glad that you home. I'm glad you here. I love you. I celebrate you. I celebrate you. And the major thing is, it's like, as leaders, we need your support, women. We need you more than anything. You're our helpmate. You are our partner. Your knowledge is not going, just like the knowledge, we need it. We are not in this thing by ourselves. That's what we have to realize as people. We're in this together. We're in this to complete each other and make each other's life better. And we need to make sure that we're doing the most we can to make that happen. And the way we do that is by trusting God and staying in that word and applying it to our life. And as leaders, we have to realize that, different things apply to different situations. What's good for you in another relationship might not be good for me in this one or in this marriage. What's good for another marriage might not be good for my marriage. What's good for your marriage might not be good for my marriage. What's good for my marriage might not be good for your marriage. But that's okay, because God allows people to grow in different ways, and he allows us to lead in different ways. And how I lead may not be the way you lead, but that's all right. We still can help each other become better leaders, because through fellowship and brotherhood and creating that forge, by showing each other, hey, I made a mistake in this area. If your brother's telling you, hey, I'm going through this, I'm doing this, and you made a mistake in that area, you should tell him, hey, bro, listen, I made a mistake in that area. Don't do what I did, man. Hey, listen, it's this, and that, X, Y, and Z. You know, we have to understand that we have an obligation to show the love of God and give the spirit of God and you know, basically help each other be better people for God. That's where fellowship comes in at. Fellowship is a part of leadership. You know, we must know how to follow in order to lead. I repeat. And if we know how to follow God, ultimately, we'll know how to lead because he'll give us everything we need to lead. He already gave it to us. What we need to lead is him. Most important. And, you know, the thing is, the enemy wants to deter us. He wants to take away our power. He wants to make us feel like we don't have the ability to lead when we were born to lead. God created us to lead. Our women were created to be our partners. But we're leaving them out here to this world where they're falling victim to the enemy, just like we are. We're stronger together than we are apart. That covenant is strong, stronger than what we realize. But this day and age, we're married for support, stability, you know, wrong reasons to get married. You should get married to a woman because she's your person. You feel like she was created for you. You feel like she completes your life. She has the balance that you've never had in your life before with her, you, and God. That covenant should be in there before you even say the words I do, because those papers, that name change, don't make you a husband no more than it makes her a wife. It's how you treat each other, how you come at each other, how you respect each other. The thing is, I do not curse at my person. She does not curse at me. We do not say things like that to each other because we know that we can't take them back. Has there been times where I wanted to say something? Yes. But did I do it? No. You know why? Because I love her more so. And I never want to say anything to hurt her that I cannot take back. And I never want her to be disrespected, let alone by me, by anybody. You know, I've said things to her that was harmful. We human. We say things. But the thing what I love about our love is that we are not beyond coming back at a later time when we've calmed down, emotions are out of it, and just say, look, babe, look, babe, I'm sorry I came at you like that. I was frustrated. I was upset. I love you more than anything. I just want us to go here and do this, this, and that. That goes a long way because you never know what triggers people have. Never know sometimes what they've been through. Everybody does not tell you everything about what their past looks like because they're trying to move forward and navigate through it. And that leadership with men, with us, it starts with us. Sometimes we have to come to our women broken and say, babe, I love you. I'm sorry if we're wrong. And sometimes, you know, women, sometimes we need y'all to be broken and set pride aside and come to us and say, babe, I'm sorry if I conducted myself that wasn't showing respect to you. And same thing. We as men and women have to realize that we cannot have pride when it comes to marriage and relationship. We have to put pride aside for the good of the relationship or the marriage or whatever level you're on. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to coexist together and be on one accord. We all want happiness. We all want stability, and we all want respect. So, you know, let's get back to the respect of the relationship and the love and the focus on doing our part to make sure that we're good men. We lead, we follow God. We listen to our partner. These are all parts of leadership. Following God, showing the love of God to our spouse, giving each other grace. These are tools that we can use in marriages. Communication is essential. So this is your boy GQ The Truth coming to you with the podcast Misconceptions of Masculinity, episode 6, titled, In Order to Lead, You Have to Know How to Follow. I just want to say to you all, stay encouraged, keep fighting the fight. Those of you who are married, hey, it ain't gonna always be sunshine and rainbows. Just trust God and he'll lead you through it. And those who long to be married, just be patient. Your person will come. God bless you all. Love you all. Peace.